Hello, Brian the Fanboy here, and today I'm gonna talk about Saban's VR Troopers. Now, how I first found out about that show is you see, when I was see, eight or, from 8 to 9, from 1994 to 1995. Well, sometimes my mother would drive me to the house of a friend of hers. Uh, After I finished school or piano lessons, since I wasn't yet old enough to stay home alone. But anyway, one day at that house, well, uh, this kid who was the son of my mother's friend, well, he introduced me to the show VR Troopers. And well, when I was a kid, I thought they were trying to outdo Power Rangers, and well, back then I didn't want any show to be better than Power Rangers because I was so much of a fan that I would try to defend it. Of course, the kid he liked the VR Troopers more than Power Rangers, and I like Power Rangers more than VR Troopers. So technically, it was the first fan war I was ever in. It's kind of like how Star Trek fans are with Star Wars fans, and kids who were fans of Power Rangers or VR Troopers were kind of like that. Now, after I became an adult, I learned that VR Troopers was the sister series of Power Rangers. You see, the reason I didn't watch on a regular basis, on my own back when I was new, was because, well, for one thing, the show aired, well, it was on syndication. It didn't, so I didn't know what channel it was airing before, I was introduced. However, if VR Troopers had aired on Fox Kids around the same time the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers did, then maybe my attitude towards the show would have been different. And, it would make a lot of fans hope for a crossover. But of course, that never happened on account that the two shows were on two different channels. I also learned that Via Troopers was adapted from three Metal Hero series by Toei. Now, the first season used footage from Meltalder and Spielman, and the second season, well, the first few episodes did use footage from Meltalder, but the Meltalder footage was eventually replaced with footage from the Metal Hero series Space Shader, and also also used film and footage as well for the second season, but most of them were just repeats. Now, when I decided to give the show a chance as an adult, well, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't Power Rangers, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be back when I was a kid. And I learned about the characters. You see, the heroes they were Brian Steele, J.B. Reese, and Caitlin Starr, and they were the heroes of that show. And well, Ryan he turned into the Mentalder hero, as well as JB and Caitlin. They turned into the Spielman heroes. And even though they never were shown fighting monsters together in their Via Troopers forms, they did fight the food soldiers called Scrogs, who were like the buddies of the series, and they fought them in their civilian forms. And they also fight in different. There's another mode they have for the VR mode. Of course, they were like the different versions of the Power Ranger costumes, that were altered in some way. And the only time they were shown together in their Metal Heroes outfit was, when they're about to go to separate ways to fight, different monsters that are in separate places. And the reason why, they're never shown that fighting together and, their Metal Hero forms is because, well, for one thing, Metalder and Spielman never had episodes together. So, I mean, they were different series. So, mm, Hans Saban had to find some way, to include those footage together as one show. And then by the second season, well, Ryan, he got his new Space Sheriff Shader form. Now, other characters in the series were, well, oh yes, Professor Hart. He was the Sordon of that show who gave the VR troopers the powers. And as for villains, well, there was, oh yes, well, there's this guy called Carl Sigter, and well, he's, well, what he does is that in his office, he puts his hand on a magic orb and then say these words: "Darkness power of darkness empower me. Take me back to my virtual reality." And then he turns into Grimlord and goes back to the virtual world. And well, Grimlord, well, he was well, his counterpart was the main villain and Metalder. Other characters, well, there was Jeff the talking dog, and then there's also oh yes, Woody, who was well, the guy who runs the newspaper place where the VTubers live. Oh, and Caitlin Star was a protector for that place. And there's also this guy named Percy, who was Caitlin's rival in photography. And also the three VIA troopers, well, they were also karate instructor at a local dojo, who and it was run by this guy named Tao. Another thing that Tao knew Orion's father, and well, let's see, during the first season, it was revealed that Ryan's father has been missing for some time, and Professor Hart knew Ryan's father. And then, when the second season began, well, Ryan's father was found, and well, he was no longer missing. Even though Mr. Seal, even though he was found, he didn't show up much in the second season, just like the first season, but at least he wasn't captured by criminal forces. Well, and also, after the second season, Sector got a new criminal form in virtual reality. He said the same incantation, but this time he stood up with a scepter. And of course, when the second season ended, well, there was no more footage that they could use, that would be, well, that could help make a third season. So eventually it got canceled. I mean, the reason Power Rangers didn't have that problem is because, well, Super Sentai is still going on, and there's a new Super Sentai series that's going to air in Japan next year. So, Via Troopers was the first non-Power Ranger series to be cancelled due to lack of footage. Oh, and also, it's thanks to Via Troopers that I learned about the Metal Hero franchise. And even though I haven't seen full episodes of any, I am planning to watch them. As a matter of fact, there was this episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. They had someone called Captain Kasuga, who was actually Space Sheriff Gavin, and the Hero series. So technically, that was the closest thing we get to the fans have to a Power Rangers and VR Troopers crossover. Even though the guest hero didn't, his story didn't keep from virtual reality. But maybe one day there might be a Boom Studios might make a crossover comic with Power Rangers and VR Troopers, but that's still remains to be seen. And even though I didn't grow up a fan of VR Troopers, well, it was without it was a nice spectacular hero series. And like I said before, I plan, to watch a full series of Metal Hero someday. Oh, and yeah. So I think that's all I can say about VR Troopers in this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.